Hey guys, Pete here. Today I'm going to be breaking down the Westworld Season 3, Episode 3 trailer, which, to be honest, doesn't show a lot, but we can connect it to some of the other preseason trailers that are out there for a substantial look at what's to come. So we'll call it a trailer breakdown / preview for Episode 3. And before we jump into it, this video will contain spoilers and speculation about the upcoming season of Westworld. So if you don't want to know about things that are out there in the media, in trailers, this video will not be for you. Episode 2 focused primarily on Maeve waking up in the real world with Serac and Bernard bringing Stubbs back from Westworld. We didn't get any Dolores or Caleb, so it makes sense that we'd pick up right where we left off with them. This trailer opens in an ambulance. We see Dolores laying there with a mask. We hear her say, the way they built their world, it won't take much to bring it all crashing down. There's only a couple of shots to work with here. Dolores was incapacitated when we last saw her, and it makes sense that she would end up in an ambulance. It also makes sense that she wouldn't want to be taken to the hospital since she's not human, and they would probably figure that out fairly quickly. So we see her grab a scalpel and overtake the EMT who had the misfortune of responding to this call. After that, we see her walking with Caleb on a pier. In the voiceover, Caleb says, "What are you going to do?" To which Dolores answers, "Start a revolution." As mentioned, there's not much to go on, but we have glimpsed more of these scenes in previous trailers. The When Caleb Meets Dolores trailer fills in the blanks for what will happen after the ambulance scene, so it's worth a closer look. It does in fact show the ambulance from the outside, and it shows that Caleb is in there with her. That's where the idea that she's being transported right after they came together in the last episode comes from. On the pier, they're wearing different clothes. She's cleaned up and looks recovered from her injuries. In the Caleb Meets Dolores trailer, we see them in the same clothes doing their introductions and then getting breakfast together. Dolores orders for Caleb, which surprises him and hints that she knows things about him even though they've just met. This is the overall gist of that trailer. They meet, they get to know each other, and then they work together. She says she's had her eye on him and that she thinks he's the one she's been waiting for. For us as viewers, the question is why? What is it about Caleb that she's interested in? After all, he's just sort of a regular guy. He doesn't seem to have any big connection to Incite or anything like that. Based on what we've seen so far, my guess is that it has something to do with him mentioning in episode 1 that he deactivated his implant. This idea comes from one of their calls in that Francis asked Caleb if he'd consider getting his implant turned back on. He says the implant helps smooth over the rough edges. Some people need it, but for me, I guess the rough edges are the only thing I'm hanging on to. I'm interpreting that the implant is related to how data is collected by Incite. But even if it's not, him turning off the implant and deciding to stop the work with the AI version of Francis shows he's trying to rebel against the algorithm in some sense. However that plays out, something he's doing makes him unique, and that makes Dolores want him. It could also be that he has this military background and things like that, but I feel like him mentioning the implant was important. The second half of the episode 3 trailer is about Hale, which I talked about a lot in my last breakdown of the In the Weeks Ahead trailer. There are some added bits here and a reveal that I was correct in thinking that the boy was Charlotte's child. The voiceover we hear is Dolores telling Hale, "Remember who you are. Now let me show you who you need to pretend to be." This is probably a flashback since it's at Arnold's home. We know Dolores was moving around before ending up in Los Angeles, where she currently is. As we see here, whoever's inside the host Charlotte body has moved on to San Francisco, where she's taking the real Charlotte's place. That involves taking over her duties of running things at Delos after most of the board members were killed, and taking care of her child. We know it's San Francisco because that's where Delos headquarters is located. We're all wondering which host consciousness is in there, and they're wondering why they have to be there in the first place. We know that Dolores was able to impersonate Charlotte in the park. Now she's able to pass that information on to whichever character's inside there. And it makes sense that it might be an uncomfortable transformation. We hear them say they feel like they're changing, which is an interesting road they could go down. They also say, why do I have to be her? Which may mean that there's some connection the person knows Hale. I'm not 100% sure about that. Are there any other hints of who it could be? Not really. And looking back at season 2, once you know Dolores is inside the Hale host, you can see that Tessa Thompson does a great job in her portrayal. She copies things that Evan Rachel Wood does. At the time, you really couldn't that much though, because there was all this timeline confusion that was going on at the same time. We get quite a few looks at this happening here based on her expressions, but nothing that gives away the game. In my mind, Teddy is off the table since he was uploaded to the Sublime. And Dolores does say in this trailer that she trusts the host that she put in there. That makes me lean towards it being her father in the park, Peter Abernathy. But it's not exactly clear if his personality could be recovered after the events of season 2, or if he would have any feelings about being in Charlotte Hale's body. Same goes for Clementine as far as can the personality be restored, and then it's not exactly clear why Dolores would say that she trusts her. The other candidate is Angela, which we saw blow herself up in the cradle, so there's problems with her as well, and it's really up in the air. Of course, there's always a chance that it's a hybrid, it's someone that Dolores created. There's a popular theory that there's multiple copies of Dolores's control unit, so that she's in both. I don't think anything in this trailer makes me lean one way or the other. The takeaway is that whoever's in there has a crucial role to play going forward, and it may be a difficult transition where they don't exactly take to this role. I don't expect that we're going to find out right away, but I'm guessing we'll get more clues with each new episode. Beyond that, we don't see any Bernard, Stubbs, Maeve, or Serac in this teaser. We did see a conversation between Maeve and Serac in the Weeks Ahead trailer, so hopefully they will appear. The same goes for Man in Black. We haven't seen him at all yet in season 3, and he's in several of the trailers that are out there, so I guess it's just a matter of time, although it may not be in this episode. I'm thinking we'll focus mostly on Dolores and Caleb, and we may also see them attend this party where it looks like they approach Liam Jr. again. Since Dolores went out of her way to replace Martin Connells with a host, we can expect that Liam is still part of her plan, and we know Bernard is looking for him because he saw her in his memories, and that's probably where these stories will come back together. I got the feeling in episode 2 that Bernard and Maeve think they know what Dolores is up to, but it's likely that it's going to turn out that they're wrong. Bernard is thinking she wants to destroy mankind, but based on what we've seen her do and things that we've heard her tell other characters, that doesn't appear to be what her endgame is. As I've said in other videos, I think it's most likely that they're all going to end up working together, but now that Maeve is with Serac, we'll have to see how that changes things. We'll definitely get a better idea after this episode. The other things that we see in the When Caleb Met Dolores trailer are a lot of action sequences. Not sure if those are going to come up in this episode. And then we also see them hook up with the characters that are played by Lena Waithe and Marshawn Lynch. So those two may be making a return in this episode as well. And that's pretty much it. So let me know in the comments what you think, what you're looking forward to. How do you feel about the season so far? I've enjoyed both episodes. They were kind of like good bookends to setting the table. We'll see where things go from here. In episode 2, I appreciated how they brought up some mysteries and they wrapped up some things. It was pretty tight all the way around. Curious to see what Serac is all about and how everything's going to play in the coming weeks. Please like this video if you enjoyed it. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you soon.